in general, I really love the idea of just writing stories with Muslim characters in them where they're confronting all sorts of challenges. So in More to the Story, for example, which is um, inspired by my all-time favorite book when I was growing up, Little Women. Jamila, my protagonist, is facing challenges around being on her school newspaper, which is something I drew from my own personal life. And she actually has a family newspaper like I did. And Joe March did too in Little Women, which is where makes me think that might be where I got the idea from. But Jamila's struggles too, again, are not, it's not an issue book in the sense of like why, about being a Muslim or about being Pakistani-American. So it's not that she's facing, racism or Islamophobia, even though it touches on microaggressions and, but she's just dealing with, changes in her family and how to control her temper and how to deal with, a cute boy who comes into town and is a part of her family, and when her sister falls ill, how to manage that and make sense of everything. So it's again not something I would hope everybody could relate to, and it's the fact that she's Muslim is one part of her life, and people get a glimpse into a Muslim family, and it's just a layer to her identity, but it's not just about that, if that makes sense. So for me, it's really seeing that those types of stories are now accepted and desired is so huge for me, and that's what I just want to keep doing too, is just these different characters and their different experiences, and not necessarily being about being a Muslim.
Well, here's a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Do you foresee yourself ever sitting down and just writing the definitive, all right, here's all your Muslim questions answered book? Now leave me alone so I can go write about characters and their own separate stories. Like, all right, I've got that one. It's on the shelf. If you're looking for that book, there it is. Now come see me when you're looking for something that's not directly about all those things and checks all the boxes that maybe will make the reviewers happy. And like, finally, we have this comprehensive essay about all the specific Muslim issues for a teen character, a character.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the one thing that I realize, and initially, as one of the writers, North American writers who was publishing books about Muslim people, I definitely felt this pressure to represent everybody initially. And knowing that I'm a Pakistani American and that, I bring my culture to my faith as well as, my own self and my own level of practice and all of that, I felt very much afraid of how my own community might react to my books, and I thought, well, maybe in Night of the Moon, like it's not Muslim-y enough, or, the way the family is practicing, or the fact that I asked the illustrator to have the mother not wear the hijab, because in all the children's books I was reading to my son that were written by Muslim publishers or Muslim authors, but published by Muslim publishers, it was all very monolithic in the way that they practiced. And so for me, it was really important to show a different type of Muslim family that represented mine. But then I was afraid of this backlash, what might people think? And even with It's Ramadan, Curious George book, I was like, a little bit nervous about it. Like I made sure the publisher, included different skin tones and different, women both wearing the hijab, not wearing the hijab, and things like that, because I think it is important to try to represent that diversity within the Muslim, people who practice Islam. But only over time did I start to realize that, one, I was happy to see that there were more Muslim authors being published, so that was a relief, but also that, I cannot by any means be expected to represent almost 2 billion people in the world, by myself, and also just one very specific type of Muslim by myself, so these are just, some stories about some Muslim people, and we need so many more about all types of people. And that's what's exciting about Salam Reads, and that's what's exciting about what's happening in the industry now, is that people are finally realizing that you can't just check off, as a publisher, like, oh, I got my Muslim book, done, because there's no such thing. And you're going to have, all types of Muslims, all types of backgrounds, every language in the world, every race in the world. And so it's just another type of person. And I think people are slowly realizing that, which is exciting to see.
Well, hopefully there will come a day where it's just another book that happens to have Muslim characters, and when that day comes, you will know that you were a part of building the foundations for that new world. Hopefully,
I hope so. Yeah, yeah.
well, hopefully it's coming sooner rather than later. I ask all the editors and literary agents who come on the show, as esteemed audience knows regularly. I ask them what they're doing specifically to increase diversity in traditional publishing, what we're seeing being done, and what is the current state of diversity in traditional publishing. Where do you think we're at toward that goal of where we want to be? How far out are we from that?
I think I mean, compared to where it was when I started, I feel like we've made tremendous progress. It is encouraging to see, an emphasis on this and publishers wanting to add diverse titles, or the fact that we even call them diverse titles, is speaking to the issue that, hopefully one day we won't be calling them that. They'll just be books. But we are seeing, now with We Need Diverse Books and, various diverse imprints, not just Islam Reads, but others and other publishers creating, this priority is huge. I know that I'm totally drawing a blank on the name, the Cooperative for Children's Book Center, what I'm talking about, CBC, like they put out the data on on children's. Okay, I'm sorry, I've totally flubbed that.
I can't think which one. To really know this stuff was what we'll say.
Yeah, so I think it's I'm totally blanking on the name, but they publish data on the industry and which types of books are being published, and we do see an improvement, which is nice, or a small percentage increase in diverse titles. But I think what's interesting is that some of them aren't being published by people from within those communities. So I think that's an interesting trend to keep watching, and how many what we call own voices titles are being published, and just with I can speak most about the Muslim representation, that it's starting to expand a bit, but we still need so much more diversity in what is being published, and some communities that just are not represented at all. And I feel like now we're slowly starting to see more African-American Muslim representation, which was largely absent. And I think people tend to associate Muslim with immigrant, and that's not the case. I mean, that's not the reality of Islam in America. And I mean, it's definitely part of it, but there's native population that has been Muslim for a very long time, and the African American communities were perhaps like 30% of the American Muslim population, and we don't always think of that. As a country, we often think of people being new to our country, or Muslims being new to our country. So definitely a lot of work to be done in this area, and the need for more just more diversity of actual types of books too. Like we need more graphic novels, we need more, early readers, we need, all types of books too. It's apart from all types of representation in those books, but we just need more of everything, because there's just very little in some areas.
That makes sense. I think it was Lamar Giles, when he was on here, said that he would know that we were at a successful place when we were seeing a lot of mediocre books being published by diverse voices. Then we've got something. Lots of mediocrity all around. Okay, now we're all.
I love that. That's a great point. That is a great point, because it feels like everything has to be stellar right now to get attention. And they mostly are, and I hope they continue to be. But yeah, I see his point. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, I think obviously it goes without saying you're going to continue to write stellar literature regardless.
I'm going to aim for mediocre now. Thank you.